Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Joe Tyrrell and welcome to The Undercut, the GPblog podcast. The year is 2014. The Sochi Autodrome is preparing to host the Winter Olympics. Alan Eustace was free-falling from 130,000 feet and I was about to sit my GCSEs. We also saw the start of one of the most infamous feuds in F1 history. I'm joined by my trusted experts who will give their thoughts on one of the most dominant periods in F1 history. This is the GPblog Decade Review, Episode 3.
Valtteri, it's James.
Come on. Get it, Joe. No, and that's going to ruin the undercut attempt. The undercut.
Well, Adam and Nick, welcome back to the Time Machine. We're in 2014 now. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling
Older.
5 years younger than I am right now.
Well, 2014 saw the beginning of Hamilton versus Rosberg. Adam.
The beginning of Mercedes dominance as well. The beginning of Hamilton-Rosberg technically started a year earlier, you could say, as teammates. And it's where friends became enemies and champions became YouTubers.
Champions again. Well, we'll come on to Nico Rosberg's vlogging career a little later. But Nick, you pointed out earlier that only one driver scored a victory other than those two. It was a truly dominant year for 2014.
Yeah, 2014. Ricciardo is the only non-Mercedes driver that year to win a race. He won 3, to be fair to him, but that, I think, says enough about how utterly dominant Mercedes were in 2014, and it only got worse, really, as the years progressed.
Yeah. And after such, we'd seen one dominant period. We've just gone through the last 4 years of Red Bull being fairly dominant, although Alonso pushed Vettel close a few times. And Vettel just completely dropped off that season.
I saw a theory recently that Vettel doesn't get on with these hybrid cars. The new rules for 2014 changed the engines, changed basically almost everything, didn't they, really? And he was just sort of a shadow of what we'd seen in the previous 4 years. This little kid, this Australian upstart, joined the team. I must say, joined the team very fortunately, perhaps. It was him or Jean-Eric Vergne. They were both very closely matched at Toro Rosso, and Ricciardo got the nod and wiped the floor with Vettel, 3 wins to 0, and literally nobody would have predicted that before the year. You'd expect it to be a Verstappen-Gasly sort of thing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, Vettel went from winning 13 races out of 19 in 2013 to winning 0 in 2014, which has to be one of the worst drop-offs of all time. And yeah, as Adam said, absolutely no one saw that one coming at the time. Ricciardo, yes, he was an exciting driver, but no, I don't think anyone would have seen this coming at all, because he outscored Vettel in the championship, in qualifying, and everything. He just looked like the number one driver. And
he looked like the 4-time champion.
Yeah, it's really weird, but obviously everything relevant was happening in those two silver arrows in these couple of years.
Adam mentioned the change to turbo hybrid era there. That changed the landscape of Formula One so much.
Yeah, it's just another one of those things. Every massive regulation change usually brings forward a new powerhouse. And in this case it's Mercedes. And people now in 2019 are sort of...
What are we going to see in 2 years' time?
Where everyone's has their eyes on 2021.
Will it be Renault? Will it be McLaren?
Yeah.
Who will come out of the shadows?
Will it be Williams?
Williams. Yeah,
Williams. Well, Williams that season actually finished third in the drivers.
Williams had
third
a
in the
brilliant
constructors.
season. I remember fondly them locking out the front row in Austria and in Britain. I think they got 2 front row lockouts. Massa and Bottas leading races.
It's the last time Williams got pole, I think.
Yeah, finishing on the podium. Yeah, it was a good time for Williams.
Bottas looking like a really good prospect as well at that time.
Yeah. Felipe Massa looking like a really class driver like he is. I'm sure Nick will agree.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, the start of the 2014 season, Lewis Hamilton is only a one-time world champion.
Yeah.
He's only won
weird,
one.
doesn't
It is weird, but
sounds weird.
He went about it establishing himself as the favourite for the title in pretty emphatic fashion, winning 4 of the first 5 races. And he won 4 on the bounce after Malaysia. So
Yeah,
Got off to a really good start.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. Although, yeah, we were just discussing before we started recording the double points.
Yeah. Rosberg was still in it.
Gimmick meant that Rosberg was still in it in the final race of the season. So in 2014, they had this idea that in the final race you could win 50 points instead of 25. Yeah, just I guess to make the previous 1918 races irrelevant. I guess.
Welcome to Mario Kart Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Talking of gimmicks, they decided to introduce the qualifying
Qualifying
format
as
for
well changed.
Australia and Bahrain was interesting, knocking drivers out every 90 seconds, which gave them just not enough time to get out of the garage and set a
Very
lap.
odd. Yeah,
And,
I mean, fair play for testing stuff.
Yeah,
but,
didn't work.
Yeah, they were just throwing things at the wall, see what would stick, I guess.
And the F1 community just did not get on
Appreciate
board
it.
at all. And they reverted back to the old and still is the same qualifying format that we see today. And it works. No need to mess with it for me.
So we've been reminded about it this year with the tragic passing of Antoine Hubert, but we were reminded about it, the dangers of the sport in 2014 as well, with a shocking accident at the Japanese Grand Prix, Jules Bianchi.
Yeah, Jules Bianchi, the Japanese Grand Prix was red flagged, wasn't it? And it's just torrential rain. And I don't remember who it was that spun off initially.
Adrian Sutil.
Yeah, Adrian Sutil spun off initially. There was a crane towing his car away, and then Jules Bianchi came, span out, headed towards the truck, and basically just collided with it, got in a coma, Bianchi, and basically never got out of it. And he was the first death since Ayrton Senna in 1994, and fortunately, at least in F1, is the last one to pass away as an active driver. And it's just one of those moments where you realize how dangerous this sport really is, because it was a relatively low speed impact, and it has such an impact on the sport, I guess. That was a truly devastating moment.
It kind of reminded us that the drivers aren't indestructible, aren't invincible.
Cars are fragile.
There's always going to be dangers, and safety is as good as it has ever been. And they will still keep trying to make it safer. We've got the Halo recently, we've got survival cells, everything. An F1 car is one of the safest cars you can have a crash in, basically. And on Jules Bianchi, just mentioned before we move on to 2015, the brilliant points finish he got in Monaco in 2014, Marussia / Virgin's first ever points.
Yeah, his first ever points. But a P9.
Could have been, I believe he came across the line P8, but a penalty put him down to P9. 2 points for them, and it didn't keep them in business. It kept them going as a Formula One team, which kind of, I know they only lasted a couple more years, but his drive there, sort of his legacy, was those extra 2 years we saw from Marussia that became Manor, and it's a shame the team aren't around anymore.
Well, moving on to 2015 now. 2015 saw more Lewis Hamilton dominance. Despite not winning any of the final 3 races and his rival Nico Rosberg winning all of them, he still won by 59 points, a pretty easy total.
Yeah, just cruised to become a triple world champion. I want to mention in that year, it felt like at the start we could have had a battle on our hands. Didn't Vettel win in Malaysia?
Vettel won in Malaysia. He got a few podiums. It was the second race.
Race. And after race 2, we're thinking, oh, hang on a moment. Because Vettel was now at Ferrari. We probably should mention.
So in the off-season, Vettel moves to Ferrari.
Alonso moves to McLaren.
Alonso goes to McLaren. Verstappen is in a Toro Rosso.
Talking about him soon.
And Kvyat was in a Red Bull.
Yeah, and Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen obviously
All
quite exciting partnership there, Toro Rosso.
Wow, that would be a partnership today, wouldn't it?
Imagine what could have been.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back onto Mercedes.
Another they won 16 out of 19 races that year.
More dominance. Who won?
I mean, we're complaining now about how
Vettel. See, there was only three winners that way. Vettel got reversed.
Vettel won 3.
Ricciardo was down in 8th this season.
Yeah, Red Bull were not good that year.
Kvyat beat him, Massa beat him, Bottas beat him.
Yeah, listen, this is just another. I think this is probably the first year where we see the Hamilton that we know now, just
ruthless.
absolutely ruthless, not scoring points just once in the whole season in Singapore when he retired. And I think besides that, he got on the podium every single time apart from Hungary. So in 17 of the 19 races, he was on the podium.
So he didn't podium in Hungary,
And I'll do you one
and he
better.
retired in Singapore.
Yeah, and on 15 of the 19 races, he got second or first. So that shows you pretty much.
That's insane.
Where
Yeah,
did he come third?
I think it was Monaco.
It was Monaco.
Yeah.
Good knowledge.
So yeah, this is, I think, the first time we see the mode that Hamilton is in now. Although 2016, he does get, I think Rosberg really gets under skin in 2016, and obviously 2016 is a really good year, isn't it?
Was 2015 the first time we heard Hammer Time?
Could be, yeah.
Lewis Hammer Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit cheesy. I found it a bit cheesy.
Yeah. In 2015, I just want to, of course, mention Belgian Grand Prix. Final lap, Sebastian Vettel's tyre explodes, and who gets on the podium? Can you tell me, Nick?
Yeah, I can.
It's Romain Grosjean.
Romain
I was
Grosjean,
there,
Yeah.
watching him come down the Kemmel Straight, cheering him on with my Romain Grosjean hat on. All these devastated Ferrari fans.
You still got that Romain Grosjean hat?
It's broken, which is
it's probably like in behind glass.
yeah.
now.
I've still got it. I've still
Waiting for
got it.
Roman to come on the show and sign it.
I'm gonna buy a Haas one next year. I think I gotta be done.
Well, Perez also scored a podium that year. Came third in Russia.
Well done.
I mean, that's just what Perez does.
He just gets podiums every now and then.
But
That's when Raikkonen and Bottas took each other out and Perez snuck on the podium.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
the
a good-
Finnish War.
Good little incident there.
Yeah, I forgot about that
but
one.
in 2015 we properly sort of start to see the beef and the feud between Hamilton and Rosberg starting to brew. And one iconic image is when Hamilton throws the cap at Rosberg at the US Grand
in
Prix.
Austin. The second place cap, and then
Yeah,
Rosberg
throws
just
it back.
He
yeets
slings it
in.
back. He was not happy.
To be fair, I mean,
Would you
I
be
do
happy?
get it from
Yeah.
Rosberg's point of view because he sort of like nonchalantly like flings it
Yeah.
at him.
Doesn't look
and
at
then
him.
he's just like, have it back, you know? Like,
The Sauber livery from that year,
ooh.
the blue and yellow one.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourites from recent
Yeah,
times.
Yeah, that's a
Just
good shot,
thought
actually.
I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll head on to 2016 now. We'll jump forward 1 year, and this is quite possibly... This is up there in terms of dramatic finales. It is up there with 2010
And 12.
and 12.
In
Yeah,
terms
of course.
just entire seasons. I mean, Hamilton
Had everything.
No, but I mean, listen. At the time, I think I was more on Rosberg's side in terms of who I liked more.
You're
But
not
looking
anymore.
Back on it now, you can, if you know, looking back on it now, you can see that Hamilton was extremely unlucky with, with his engines, and yeah, I mean. I think he probably would have been champion again if not for that.
Hamilton
trouble.
suffered retirements in Spain, in Malaysia.
Yeah,
The
but although,
Malaysia.
to be fair to Rosberg, he did do so
He
well.
put
in
himself there.
qualifying.
To,
He had.
Didn't he win 4
he
races
always-
in a row?
It
start of
seems
the
like
season?
Rosberg always had a better launch than Hamilton at every start of every race. And I remember as well at Spain, Hamilton was on pole, and Rosberg just had a sublime move around the outside of the initial chicane. It's so difficult to overtake.
Hamilton had a really bad start to that season. He finished second. I mean, really bad. His standards.
Yeah, he was
second,
he was
third,
like
seventh,
50
second,
points
retired.
behind. Yeah.
And then in the middle of the season, he won.
He won 4 in a row.
He
didn't
won 6 out of the next 7 races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That crash. Got to talk about it in Spain.
in
I'm sure
Spain.
you won't mind talking about that race, Nick.
No, I don't mind.
On the run into turn 4, Hamilton thinks, "Oh, you know what? There's a gap there. I'll go for a move." Rosberg says, "Oh no, you don't, Lewis." Cuts across him onto the grass.
Rosberg was like adjusting something on his
Yeah.
steering wheel. Probably didn't see him. Overcorrected, forced him on the grass, and they just tagged each other and took each other out. Hamilton throws away his steering wheel, and who comes through?
That's one of the most iconic images of that season.
Was
Was
him just throwing his steering
yeah.
wheel. Yeah, and who comes through, swoops in, gets the victory.
a certain Dutchman.
A certain 18-year-old, first Dutch driver to ever win a Grand Prix, youngest driver to ever win a Grand Prix.
in his first ever race for Red Bull.
Yeah, youngest driver to ever be on the podium.
He finished 5th that season. He beat out Raikkonen as well, despite starting in a Toro Rosso.
Max Verstappen. And listen, I can't stress how big this moment was for Dutch F1 fans. I really can't. The commentator, Olaf Mol, who has been doing the Dutch commentary since 1992 or something, he cried like on air as it was happening, and he was saying a lot of expletives on air, which is legal in Holland. Yeah, this really sent the country into a frenzy, really, and that's really when
Max Verstappen was catapulted to a national hero all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, there's a reason he lives in Monaco. He literally can't walk in anywhere in Holland. He just get
mobbed,
swarmed. Yeah.
Nick, I don't know what you made of it at the time. The Fiat Verstappen switch. I'm sure you were quite happy about it.
Yeah.
But me as a neutral personally, with no bias towards Fiat or Verstappen, I thought it was really harsh at the time. But looking back now, it's so the right decision, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
So the decision was obviously sparked by Fiat first in China colliding with Vettel, then in Russia tagging Vettel twice in the opening 3 corners.
You mentioned China there, and all I've got in my head now is the image of him on the podium, and was it Alonso and Vettel miserable on the podium next to him?
Fiat was on the podium with Vettel and I think Hamilton, and that was when the torpedo nickname started, because Vettel said in the cooldown room, he said, "You came at me like a torpedo," and then, to be fair to Fiat, he was right to go for that move, and I think it was actually Kimi. If you look back at it, it was Kimi Räikkönen's fault. He came across
Kimi
Vettel.
Räikkönen didn't leave the space.
Yeah, he did not leave that space.
So in China, Kvyat was on the podium with Rosberg and
Rosberg,
Vettel.
Yeah, and in the cooldown room, Vettel said, "You came at me like a torpedo" to Kvyat, and that caused everything. But also, the thing in Russia was just completely Kvyat's fault.
Russia was at the start of the season, though.
Yeah, it was. He ran into the back of Vettel. Vettel saved it, kept going, and then in the third turn he tagged him again and he spun out.
Someone hit me in the rear, and then someone hit me in the rear again at turn 4.
Oh my
You
God.
probably have to take that out, Nick.
Yeah, I know. I'll just bleep it.
Well, we saw possibly the most dramatic in terms of last lap. It went right to the wire, and this is possibly the most memorable finale to a season I can remember. I just remember each one of the Mercedes hierarchy just on the radio.
Bono
to Hamilton.
was on the radio.
Bono, Paddy Lowe,
Toto Wolff.
They said, "Lewis, you have to speed up," and he's like, "I'm losing this championship, so I just suggest you let us race."
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was brilliant.
He just tried to back Rosberg. I think he needed Rosberg to finish 4th or lower, if my memory serves me correctly. And they were running 1-2, Hamilton in front, Rosberg second.
But it was really tight, wasn't it?
Vettel was speeding up behind him, and Hamilton just decided, I'm going to block Rosberg everywhere, give him no chance to pass, make his lap times really slow, and hopefully Vettel will catch up. Maybe they'll contact. Maybe I don't know, Raikkonen or Ricciardo will catch up.
Yeah, Vettel was running third.
Rosberg led Hamilton by 12 points into the final race.
So, yes, Rosberg could have finished third and won the title. Rosberg needed to finish 4th. Yeah, that was a good one.
And they really risked losing the race to Vettel, who was quickly catching them, wasn't he, on a different strategy.
But it worked for Rosberg, and he won the title, and then
5 days later.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Nick. I've got a lot of respect for Rosberg deciding, right, I've given literally everything I can. My entire life to beating Hamilton.
Not me. No, for me, how I saw it at the time, and I still do, is like he knew
he wasn't going to do it again.
I can't do this again. He got a bit lucky with Hamilton's retirements and engine trouble. I'm never going to be able to do this again. This guy's clearly better than me. I'm just going to call it here and end on a high, basically.
Adam said that you respect him because he's the only person who has really pushed him all the way since he's been at Mercedes.
Well, yeah. If you look back on Hamilton's past teammates, he was equal with Alonso, destroyed Kovalainen, poor old Heikki, beat Button 2 years out of 3, although Button did actually score more points than Hamilton over the 3 years. Interesting stat. Minced Rosberg for 2 seasons, and then Nico decided, you know what, I am actually going to put my entire life towards this.
Didn't they change Hamilton's team in the off season between or something?
I don't know, but Rosberg dedicated his life to that championship, and he achieved his life goal, and he thought, this year was tough, man. I don't think I've got the willpower and the energy to do it again, and he just called it a day. And I've got a lot of time for that. I got a lot of respect for Nico after that one.
Thanks.
No worries.
I don't know. Every time I hear Rosberg win and he goes like, "Oh yeah, awesome guys," I just think like, shut up.
So last time I gave you a bit of trivia and you had to tell me who was the first 7 winners of the 2012 season.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Rosberg retired 5 days after winning the title at the prize-giving ceremony in Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
But who was first reigning champion to do so since... He was the first one to do so since...
Prost?
93.
Prost in 93.
Yeah.
And then Mansell in
Bangerman.
92 didn't defend his title either.
Wow.
Yeah, but did he retire?
He didn't retire. He came back, but he went and
Was
did
he too
IndyCar.
fat to sit in a Ferrari then?
He was in a Williams, actually. Yeah. Mansell was the only man ever to hold both F1 and IndyCar titles at once.
Fair play.
Quite a cool stat.
Well, guys, what are your overriding emotions from that period, that Rosberg-Hamilton feud?
Ignoring Rosberg and Hamilton.
Not Grosjean again, I beg.
No, I've already mentioned him. So my overriding thing of that period, ignoring Hamilton and Rosberg and Mercedes dominance, was the kind of downfall of McLaren. Honda engines in 2015, yeah.
Stoffel van Dorn coming in Bahrain and getting P10.
That was impressive, actually. But yeah, they just went to nothing, and
Yeah, this is the start of their
downfall. And
Yeah.
they're
It
just
looks like they're on the way back up
they're
now.
just on the way
We'll have
back
to wait
now.
and see.
Exciting young team. Andreas Seidel, who we're talking about off air, is a genius. They've got an extremely talented young driver who scored a lot of points and done really well in qualifying, called Lando Norris.
Hamilton
I'm
2.0.
not biting.
Not biting.
No, I'm not biting.
Yeah, that was a weird period. As a McLaren fan that I am,
Cool looking cars though.
really cool looking cars, but very uncool looking points.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be defined as just the era of Alonso complaining on the radio,
GP2 engine.
yeah, about everything. And although he, like, as good as a driver as he is, like, I think I rate him more than anyone. He does have this sort of destructive behavior,
Almost poisonous.
yeah, that just drags teams down with him almost. And yeah, I mean, from a McLaren point of view, it's sad. And I guess you could also look at this and see Williams being relevant is really weird looking at it now.
Poor
Williams in...
Williams scored podiums in all 3 of those years.
Think
yeah,
so,
Bottas scored in Canada.
Yeah, Bottas got one, yeah. Also, Bottas was the last non-top 3 team driver to finish in the top 6 in 2014 until Carlos Sainz did it this year.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Like, he was really, really good at Williams.
No, yeah, well, we've seen him in the last few years.
It's about to make a move.
Spoiler alert.
Rumours are coming that there's a space open at Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Rosberg might retire.
Do you remember when Pascal Wehrlein was linked with that seat? He was heavily linked with that seat.
Listen, he got an impressive P10 in Austria in 2016. His only point of the season. And frankly, he deserves promotion after that.
So I've got another little stat for you, another little quiz question for you. So Stoffel van Dorn's only race that season was a P10 in Bahrain.
Yeah.
But he scored more points than 4 drivers. Who were
Ericsson, 100% Ericsson.
Ericsson's one of them.
Gutierrez
Gutierrez is one. So that's the...
Julian Palmer?
Nope. So that is the 2 that fulfilled the entire season, and there was 2 others that did half a season each.
Ocon.
Did Ocon not get a point? And
Ocon.
Rio Haryanto.
No,
Rio
I don't think
Haryanto.
so.
Yeah, it was Haryanto.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, I would never guess that one.
So Haryanto drove until Germany, then from Belgium, Ocon took
He's
over.
from Indonesia, right? Or
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, he is.
Jeez.
Ocon, what a shout that was. I don't think I would have got him.
That's why I'm here.
Well, guys, that's all we've got time for this episode, but we'll be back where we look at the most recent period of Formula One of the decade. So.
I feel a bit older.
Yeah, we're getting older now. We'll see you soon, guys.
Bye.
Valtteri, it's James.
Come on. Get it, Joe. No, and that's going to ruin the undercut attempt. Woo! The undercut.